So, hello and welcome to lesson 12 in our study of scientific computing, where we are beginning by studying some basics of the Python programming language. So, this happens to be the 12th lesson, right? And in this video, we'll be talking about file handling in Python, how to handle files, test files, specifically in Python. Okay, so in Python, there is no need for importing external library to read and write files. Python provides an inbuilt function for creating, writing, and reading files. We are going to learn the following in this video: how to open a text file in Python, how to create a text file in Python, how to append to a file in Python, how to read a file line by line, file modes in Python, and how to use the with statement in Python, right? So instead of using just open, you're going to learn how to use with open. Okay, so how to open a text file in Python. So if you have a text file already, right, and you want to open that text file, so to open it, you need to use the built-in function open. All right, so the open file function returns a file object that contains the methods and attributes to perform various operations for opening files in Python. So the syntax of Python opening file function is the file object is equal, so this is just an assignment, alright? Open. So the open takes two parameters, the file name and the mode. Alright. So here the file name gives the name of the file that the file object has opened, and the mode is an attribute of a file object that tells which mode the file was opened in. So the mode can be R for read, it can be W for write, it can be A for append, and we have other the others. All right, so let me show you the modes in Python before we continue with the video. So we have the R, right, the R mode, and there is the default mode. It opens file for reading. So we have the W, so this mode opens file for writing. If the file does not exist, it creates a new file. If the file is exist, it truncates the file, it overwrites it. Okay, then we have the X, right, we have the A, which open file in append mode, right, we have the T, we have the B, and we have the plus. So the plus open a file for reading and writing at the same time, right, updating it. So these are the file modes that we have in Python. So now let's go back to what we are doing. Okay, so more details of these modes are explained below. I just explained them to you. I'll forget it. All right, so if you already have a test file and you want to open it, that is the step we use. Okay, so before we come to this, before I illustrate this to you in Python, let's first learn how to create a test file. All right, so when you create it, then I open it for you. So now, how to create a test file in Python. So with Python write to file, you can create a .txt files. All right, so for example, you can create a file called guru99.txt by using the code we have demonstrated below. Right, so we get f will be equal to open, then we want the file name to be guru99.txt, and then the mode should be w plus. Okay, all right, so here you see we didn't specify any directory. That means that the file is going to be created in our current working directory. Okay, so for instance, if I want to know my current working directory, I can use this code in Python. So I'll first have to import os. All right, and I'll be like os dot get current working directory. So my current working directory is what you can see here, right? So that means when I create any test file, it's going to be in this current working directory, right? But later on, you will learn how to specify a particular directory when you want to create the test file, like what I've done here. I'll explain that to you later. Okay, so let's go back to our code. So he says here we declared a variable f to open a file named guru99.txt. So open takes two arguments: the file that we want to open and a string that represent the kinds of permission or operation we want to do on the file. Here we use W letter in our argument, which indicates Python to write to a file, and it will create a file if it does not exist in the library. The plus sign indicates both read and write for Python create file operation. So I hope you get that. So let's create a test file right now, right? Okay, so this is just a variable name. I'm calling it fhand is equal to, let's say, open. Hmm. So what name should I use? Okay, I'm going to use math1. And I want to write the file. Okay, so I can decide not to bring the plus, so that I'll just write to it, right? So when you bring the plus, it represents both read and write. So you can write to it and also read to it. Okay, so if I should do this operation is going to create a test file called math1.txt in my current working directory, which I showed you how to get it. So let me search for math1.txt. So yes, I have this math1.txt which has been created in this location. So I have it, and you can see that I can open it, right? I think, yeah, there's it. I've opened it here, and you can see that it is an empty file because I've not added anything to it. Okay, so this is how we create a, a test file, right, in Python. I can now write to it and later read to it. Okay, so can you see this here? So we use this to specify a particular directory where you want to create a test file. So here I want to create a text file called hello.txt in this directory. See the C drive usage user on my desktop. So if I should run this, it's going to create a test file called hello.txt on my desktop. So let me go to my desktop and see if I can find that file there. Right, so you can see there's a hello.txt and I can open that. Alright. Okay, so fantastic. So we've learned how to create test files using Python. So so now that you've created a test file, let's see how we can write to it. Okay. Alright. So let's follow here. Alright. So writing to it. So you see, after opening it, if I want to write to it, then what do I want to write to it? So let's say I want to write I am a good boy to it, right? Then after writing to it, mostly we'll have to close it. So let me then add it together, right? So add the code together. So before you write to a test file, you first have to open it. So I'm going to use a script to do whatever I did here. So let me create a test file. Alright. So you see the open parameter, that is what it takes. So the file mode, then we can even do encoding and everything inside. Okay. Alright. So the file name is, the first one I created was math1, right? I want to write to it. I want to write to it 20 times. Okay, so after writing to it, I have to close it. Right. So I can save this as TT and run this. So when I run this is what it did. It has created a test file called mat1.txt in my current working directory, and it has written to the file, hello, my name is Shrinoff and I'm a good boy, 20 times. Okay, because I wanted to do it 20 times for I in range of 1 to 21. Okay, all right. So now let me open mat1.txt and let's see the content. So you can see that we have hello, my name is Shrinoff several times. I don't know if you can see that here. Okay, let me add something to the code so that, right, so after that then I would want a new line so that after the first one, the next one will go to the new line. Okay, so you can see that I have it here. Hello, my name is Shrinoff and I'm a good boy, 20 times. So I created a test file called math1 and I've been able to write to it. Okay, so after writing to it, I closed it. So one thing about the write is that when you write to a file, it always overwrites what was previously in. So mostly it's not the better option to use if you want to update a test file but I want to keep the old word content. So to do that, we use the append method, right? So for the append method, it is just going to add the new content to the old one without the old one getting lost. Okay, so you can also append, add a new text to the already existing file or a new file. So we can open a test file with what, an A plus, right? We can just use an A. So once again, if you could see a plus sign in the code, it indicates that it will create a new file if it does not exist. But in our case, you already have the file, right? So let me illustrate to you here. So you see here, we wrote the file, right? But right now I want to append to the file. Okay, so I will change this W towards A. And now this is what I want to write to the file. I want to add this thing to the statements I had. So I'm a proud student of mathematics 4, right? So if I should run this, save it and run it again. So this is what it will do. It will go to the test file math1.txt and add 20 lines of code which is saying that I'm a proud student of mathematics 4. So now let me open. So let me open the math1.txt and let's see what happened. So you can see that you see I'm a proud student of mathematics where everything has come. So we created a test file and you're using Python to write to the test file. Is that not fantastic? Yes, it is. Okay. Alright, so now let's see how we can read a file in Python. Okay. So you could see that I was using Notepad to open the file, but we can also open the file in Python. So if I want to open the file in Python, this is what I'm going to do. So I'm going to say, maybe let's say any variable name. Okay, so let me use fgen equals open mat1.txt. I want to read it, right? So the file mode is R. Then I want to read it line by line. Okay, so for each line in fgen, reader is equal to fgen dot read. Okay, so this is a function which is going to read everything that we have in there. And I print the reader. So if I should run this code, you see, it will read everything I had in that test file, my Python word console, okay, without having to go and read it somewhere else. Alright, so you see, it's very good. Like, we are doing so well. Okay, so that's how to read a file in Python. We've done this. Okay, so we've learned how to create test files, how to read test file, how to write to a test file, how to append to a test file. So we can also use create a test file or do all of these things using the read statement. So why do we have to use a read statement sometimes? Okay, so after using the open function to open a test file, you always have to close it. So if you could remember, we're always closing it. After opening our file, we're always closing it with the f dot close method, right? But with the read statement, you get better syntax and exceptions handling. And in addition, it automatically closes the file. So the read statement will automatically close the file without you having to write another line of code to close it. And the read statement provides a way for ensuring that a cleanup is always used. So this is the open versus with open method, right? So if I want to open a file using the open method, I can have something like file is equal to open mat4.txt. Then the mode is I want to read it. Then reader is equal to file.read. Then I print reader. Then I have to close it. Right? So you see I have to close it. I can do the same thing using the with open, right? And the with open even allows you to open a file with an alias. So with open mat4.txt as rain. So I'm opening it as rain. So reader will be equal to, now I'm opening the mat4.txt as rain. So rain.read. Then I print it, and with that one I wouldn't have to close it because it already closed it for me because I'm using it with open. Okay, so you can type this and run it, and it will give the same effect as this one. Okay, so that's with the with open, right? So with everything I did, you can do it with open. Then if you want to write, use the W and the rest. Okay, so it's very simple. And one thing about the with open is that, when you use the with open, so you can also provide encoding and the rest. So let's see the syntax. Okay, I'm coming. Let me open a new. Hmm. Hmm. So you see, there's a syntax. So it takes the file, the mode, you can use an encoding, and it closes it back for you, and it's open a file and return a stream, and it helps you to raise an OS error upon failure. Okay, so it has a better syntax than the open method, right? And with that one, when you use that to open a file, you don't have to close it again because after opening it, it closes it for you. So that's with the open. Okay, so thank you very much. That's going to be all for this video. We did a lot of things, and you should practice them, you get them. Okay, so thank you, and see you in the next video. In the next video we'll be talking about the NumPy library in Python, okay, to do